Have you ever felt like you're just being pulled in a million different directions? Like the rules for success at work or with your finances just completely clash with what you believe spiritually? Well, we're going to dive deep into that feeling today, breaking down this really powerful framework from Pastor Claudio Duarte that might just be the key to a much more balanced, less stressful life.
It really all boils down to this one simple, but honestly pretty profound question. According to the pastor's teaching, the biggest source of our frustration, our anxiety, our stress, it comes from not realizing that we are operating in two completely different worlds at the same time every single day.
So here it is, the foundational idea for everything we're about to talk about. You live in two worlds. And the secret to a better life isn't about choosing one over the other. No, it's about knowing which playbook to use and when. And this framework, it actually kicks off right at the very beginning, Genesis 1:1. This famous line is presented as more than just a creation story. It's actually the first introduction to our two realities, the heavens, which represents the spiritual world, and the earth, which, you guessed it, represents the physical one.
This is such a great way to see the difference, right? On one side, you've got the spiritual world. It's eternal, it's based on faith, and it deals with the big questions, your ultimate why. But then you have the physical world. That's temporary, it's all about action, and it deals with the practical stuff, your how. They have completely different rules, different currencies, different measures of success.
So, what's our role in all of this? Pastor Duarte uses this incredible analogy. We are ambassadors. Just think about that for a second. An ambassador lives in a foreign country, but they represent their home nation. They follow the local laws, but their values, their mission, that comes from home. In the same way, we are spiritual beings, ambassadors of the eternal, living out a temporary assignment right here in the physical world. Our job is to represent the values of one place while navigating the realities of another.
And this, right here, brings us to the core problem. This is where we get into trouble. We mix them up. According to this teaching, our number one source of frustration in life comes from trying to apply the rules of the spiritual world to the problems of the physical world, and vice versa. That's when things just completely fall apart.
And this anecdote just illustrates the point perfectly. It's funny, but it's also so insightful. Someone comes up and confuses a financial transaction, buying a car, with a spiritual gift, and the pastor gently corrects them. God absolutely gave you the health, the job, the ability to buy it, but you still have to make the payments. That's a physical world responsibility.
So this leads to a very blunt, but absolutely necessary truth. You can have all the faith in the world, but it's not going to pay your credit card bill. Faith is essential for the spiritual world. It's for your purpose, for your why. But here, in the physical world of rent and bills and deadlines, action and responsibility, those are the currencies that actually matter.
And look, the stakes here are really high. Getting this wrong isn't just a little mistake. It's dangerous. It can lead to some truly disastrous decisions. It causes total emotional and spiritual burnout, and it can even seriously damage your faith when you expect God to pay a bill you were supposed to handle. It just creates confusion and inaction.
Okay, so if mixing them up is the problem, what's the solution? How do we win? Well, let's look at the first playbook, how to win in the spiritual world.
The whole operating principle here is pretty simple. See, unlike the physical world, which is all about what you produce and achieve externally, the spiritual world is all about your internal state. It really comes down to the quality of your connection to God and your obedience to spiritual principles. And here are 5 really actionable steps to do that. First, know the Bible for yourself so you can't be misled by others. Second, pray correctly, which means shifting the focus outward, toward others, not just your own shopping list of needs. Third, and this one is huge, actually obey the word. The difference between knowing something and doing it is, well, it's everything. Fourth, fasting is presented as a powerful tool to build that spiritual muscle. And fifth, choose your relationships well, because your spiritual health is directly tied to the company you keep.
All right, let's totally switch gears. We've got the spiritual playbook down. So what about the material world, the temporary one? How do we win here on earth?
And you'll see the principle here is completely different. It's not about passive connection. It's about active stewardship and deliberate action. It's all about how you manage the resources, the time, the relationships, and the body that you've been given.
So what are the 5 steps for material success? First, guard your mind. What you consume, what you watch, read, listen to, that directly determines your output. Simple as that. Second, manage your money. It's a critical tool in the physical world. Third, and notice this one's on both lists for a reason,
choose good relationships. But here, the focus is on letting go of people who actively block your growth. Fourth, work hard. Plain and simple, there is no substitute. And fifth, and this is so important, respect biology. Not every problem is a spiritual demon. Sometimes you just need to go see a doctor.
Wow. This analogy for that point about relationships is just so powerful, isn't it? Sometimes for you to grow, a big, dominant, shade-casting relationship in your life has to be removed. It has to fall, so that you can finally get the sunlight you need to thrive. It's not about being mean. It's about making space for your own growth. So let's put it all together side by side. This slide is perfect because it shows the two distinct toolkits. On the spiritual side, you've got prayer, biblical knowledge, obedience, and faith. On the physical side, you have work, budgets, professional skills, and action. They are both absolutely essential, but you can't use a hammer to fix a software bug, right? You got to use the right tool for the right job.
And it all comes back to this number. 2. 2 worlds, 2 playbooks, 2 totally different toolkits. The point isn't to choose one and abandon the other. It's about becoming skilled and competent in both.
And that's really the ultimate goal here. It's all about balance. It's about being spiritually grounded and practically effective. It's about being a responsible, hardworking steward of your life here on earth while never losing sight of your eternal foundation. One without the other, as we've seen, just leads to a life of frustration.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. Your life is a story, and it's a story being written across 2 worlds at the exact same time. So the question is, are you writing a good chapter in both of them, or has one been completely neglected?